What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to another week of NFL football. Of course, Eagles football yet again. Week 15, and I know it's been some weeks since I did a video for the series. I apologize about that. Had a guest over around Thanksgiving time, and just kind of got busy with other things after that. So didn't have a chance to really do a lot with this series. Um, but obviously, as we know, I believe the last time I did a video was before the Cleveland game, and it hasn't really gone well throughout the weeks. But look, they finally got a win. As we all know, last Sunday evening against the Saints. And hey, look, a lot's happened since the last video I made, right? I mean, obviously, there's been some losses. Carson Wentz, of course, was pulled for Jalen Hurts in the Green Bay game, and Jalen Hurts made his first NFL start in his career last week against the Saints, and he looked pretty good. Listen, I know earlier in the year I said that Jalen Hurts isn't going to be the difference. It's he's a rookie quarterback who really hasn't had the type of offseason that rookies typically have because of the pandemic situation and everything. But give him credit. He looked good. I mean, it was a small sample size, obviously. It was one start against a really good defense, and give him all the credit in the world. Some said afterwards, oh, the Saints were overlooking. We're looking past the Eagles because they're playing Kansas City this week and whatnot. But, if the Saints would have won last week, they would have won the division. So I don't know if you can in the NFL anymore, it's like you can't overlook anybody, because any team is, well, maybe the Jets. But other than that, I mean, look, anything can happen, right? The old saying, any given Sunday, right? Or Monday or Thursday or whenever they play these. Saturday, there's games today. Tuesday, there were games. Wednesday, there was a game this year because of COVID. So it's any given day that you play football. And, but again, you give full marks and full credit to the Eagles for how they played. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts making plays. It was the defense making plays, getting turnovers, putting their stamp on the game. And also, Miles Sanders, with that 80-plus yard touchdown. And that's why you got to give the ball to Miles Sanders. That's why it's so frustrating with this offensive play calling by the coach, by the powers that be, Doug Peterson and whoever is developing the game plan week to week. They get away from the run. And I know it's a passing league, and every team is passing the ball. I mean, the Titans certainly have their running game. The Browns have their running game. I would say the Ravens are probably more effective in the run than they are in the pass. But again, it's that everyone wants that those numbers in the air and points are scored. And when you see what these other teams are doing, passing the ball and looking, successful as they are, the Eagles over the years, they've been a passing offense, and they have a very good weapon in Miles Sanders. He's the type of back that you got to give the ball to because, yeah, he'll have carries where, maybe he gets you 2 yards or 3 yards or whatever, but he's one of those backs that is always a threat to break one, right? And he's had some long touchdowns on this season. And they just go away from him. Now, the frustrating thing for me is, and I am frustrated with the play of Carson Wentz this season. He's not without blame in this so far losing season, because he obviously the mistakes that he's made in his career he continues to make. Holding onto the ball too long, not moving out of the pocket. And this season, which really wasn't his MO coming into this season, the interceptions. How many times he turns the ball over, and including, taking points off the board. In some of those games, particularly early in the season, throwing interceptions in the end zone. When they were in at least field goal range, if they want to go for field goals, because the kicker is not very good now in Elliott, but so he's not very reliable for kicking. But nonetheless, I mean, you take points off the board with interceptions. And Carson certainly had his worst season of his career to this point. The biggest thing to me is Carson Wentz to me is still just a huge question mark. He's one of the biggest puzzles that I can remember, for Philadelphia sports. I mean, you look at his history. He comes in the league as a rookie. He gets to start right away against Cleveland, and he looks great. The first 3 games of his rookie career, he's looking good. And obviously, then he's a rookie, so then the mistakes start happening, and the team kind of has a roller coaster ride of a season. They finish strong, but okay, he's a rookie, okay, he looked okay. I mean, he wasn't awesome, and he wasn't terrible. He was okay. He was okay. He was a rookie, rookie season, thrown right into the fire. So then the following season, of course, the 2017 year, which was the great year, of course, he's the league MVP before he gets hurt against the Rams in L.A. But that season again, he's the league MVP if he doesn't get hurt. He set the franchise record for touchdown passes on the play that on his last play of the season. His last snap of the season was a touchdown pass to Alshon Jeffrey, which set the franchise touchdown passing record, which still stands, right? Looking great. And as we all know, Nick Foles comes in, wins the Super Bowl MVP and everything. And of course, then the questions start. Who should be the quarterback? Should it be Nick? Should it be Carson? Carson, Nick, right? So that next season starts with Carson on the bench because he's hurt, coming back from injury. Through those 2 games, the Eagles are 1-1. Carson comes back against the Colts. And, kind of up and down, when he was in there, then he gets hurt again, the back and what have you, and was out for the rest of the season. Nick's back in there, gets to the playoffs. We win the double doink game in Chicago. And, that the rest is history for that season. But then the following season, Nick's moved. He's in Jacksonville. Carson is the unquestioned starter. And, yeah, it's an up and down kind of year for him. But he finishes strong, right? The 4 straight wins to get this team to the playoffs. The 4 straight wins to win the division title in the Meadowlands at the end of the season to make the playoffs. And, of course, then in the playoffs, he gets cheap shot by Clowney in Seattle, and that's the end of that, right? So, long story short, and it was a long story, but it's been a roller coaster ride with him. We still don't really know who Carson Wentz is. I mean, he looked great, to start his career, the MVP type season. Setting the franchise record for touchdown passes, looking just awesome week to week. Offense is scoring 40-plus points a game, it seemed. An amazing run, right? And then the inconsistencies start up. Now you can say, well, maybe he's a little gun shy now. The injuries have kind of taken its toll. Who knows? There's too many voices in his head and the coaching staff, and I do believe that's part of it. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know what's going to happen, right? If you go through this season, and let's say they don't make the playoffs, and Jalen Hurts from this point on is kind of up and down, and plays like a rookie that he is, right? Do we know enough to say that Jalen's going to be the guy next season? Do we know? And do we not only that, but do we believe? Should we believe that it should be Jalen and Doug, or will it be another head coach? Listen, if the Eagles, the rest of the season, let's say through the next 3 games they go 2-1, hypothetical, 2-1. So that means that Jalen Hurts as a starter is 3-1 in his career, right? Doug, we all know the record without Carson Wentz. What's he, like 11-2 or something like that in his career without Carson Wentz at the quarterback? Is that enough to bring Doug back? It probably will be. And now the biggest question of all is what's going to happen next season. Now we have that quarterback controversy yet again, which Philadelphia seems to have many times. Right? Even when McNabb was here, right? There was oh, well, AJ Feely's looking good, or oh, Corey Detmer, he looked good, and it's all those years, and then of course it was should it be Foles, should it be Vic, and then it went from that to Wentz, of course, in there, Wentz Foles, Wentz Hurts. It's always something. Felt that the constant with the Eagles is there's going to be a quarterback controversy because the backup quarterback's always the most popular guy on the team. if they would sell like the backup quarterback jerseys in the pro shop, they would be the ones that sell the most every year, right? This town has a love affair with the backup quarterback, and rightfully so. It's the underdog, right? It's the guy that wants a chance, to be the guy, right? Town loves stories like that. And it is so perfect that the backup quarterback was the Super Bowl MVP for the Eagles. It's just if there was one franchise that had to happen that way, it's the Eagles. Take it from a longtime Eagle fan, okay? So again, I mean, look, there's so many questions. And in a way, it's going to be a fascinating offseason, really. And I don't want to really get into the offseason right now. There's still 3 weeks, and they're still in the hunt. At 5-8-1, they're still in the hunt. Oh my goodness! In this horrendous division, if I remember the record correct, I think they're 5-8-1. It's been a long year, so sometimes I don't know. A couple weeks ago, it's like there's no way Doug Peterson is going to be back. This offense is horrible. He's in control of the offense. There's no rhythm. They don't run the ball. They're just keeping Wentz in there to fail week to week. And look, hey, I don't know, man. A new player in there brings in new life. And Hurts is in there running around for over 100 yards last week against the Saints. They get a win. Right? And everything kind of turns a little now, right? Now, the rest of the season is probably going to be Hurts, barring injury, which on this team there's always injuries, so you never know. And how are they going to look? How are they going to look through these next 3 games, right? Are they going to look good? Are they going to look pathetic again? Is this offense going to kind of revert back to what it was? Who knows? Will we see Wentz again this season? Who knows, right? The thing about it is, though, it does give Doug new life, right? Because if Hurts is going to be the guy, and yeah, you're paying a lot to Carson to be a backup, I get that. And look, people have said move him. That's easier said than done because that's a huge cap hit this team would have to take. And they're not necessarily great in the cap situation as it is. So this offseason, if they move Wentz via trade, or they're not going to release him. That's way too big a cap hit. But if you trade him, it's still a cap hit, and you're still paying money. It's too costly, I think, to do that. Could they do it? Sure. Will they do it? I don't think so. That's just too big of a hit. Way too big of a hit. That on the team right now that's struggling as it is with the cap, you're going to take that type of hit? I don't think so. So my bet is that Carson and Jalen. Now people say, well, you can trade Jalen. Maybe. But is that a risk? Right? If you trade Jalen and he's going to be the next great quarterback in this league on another team, and Carson still struggles. Listen, there are some fascinating decisions that are going to have to be made, right? And there are some very enticing things out there, right? If Jalen Hurts looks great through the next 3 games, it's just too big of a risk to trade him, but there's going to be teams that are going to want him, right? Because Carson Wentz is still here, right? But anyhow, we're getting off topic. We're getting off the tracks here, okay? So we're going to try to center again. We're weaving through the lanes. But there's so much to talk about. I'm going to do my best to talk about all these situations after the season's done. In my mind, if Jalen Hurts looks good through the next 3 games, I think Doug's definitely back next season with Jalen Hurts, and Carson Wentz is the backup, or they can have a quarterback competition in the training camp, and then in the whatever it is going to be with the preseason. I know starters really don't play preseason, but whatever that's going to be through the off season and into next season. Carson certainly has a stake to make that he should still be the quarterback. He was the quarterback for a decent amount of time, besides being hurt. For those times where he was injured. He was the unquestioned starting quarterback of the team. Now, this season, again, as I said, he had a horrible year. Part of that, and if you really look at it, if you really look at the big picture, a lot of voices in the head. Doug Peterson, other coaches that they brought in this offseason, other voices in the room, right? Kind of getting jumbled up in there, right? You also have a situation where this offensive line, again this week, will be starting another player on the offensive line, and every single week this season it's been a different offensive line. That's just no cohesiveness on that O-line, and they have been a mess. I mean, this offensive line has not been good. And it doesn't matter if it's Carson Wentz behind center or Jalen Hurts. The difference, though, is that Jalen Hurts is moving. Jalen Hurts gets out of the pocket. Jalen Hurts is making plays with his legs. And you know, the thing about Carson, the thing that I'm most disappointed in with him is because over the years he has been a bit of an elusive quarterback to bring down. You know, he has moved. It's not like he's a statue. You know, but for whatever reason this year, I don't know if it's because of the injuries or what have you, he just refused to move, refused to try to keep plays alive with his feet and do the things that he's capable of doing. You know, in this town we talk about Ben Simmons not shooting, right? You have an NBA player that won't shoot the ball. One of the biggest fundamentals that you got to have to be a pro basketball player is to shoot, right? It's a shooting league. But Ben, for whatever reason, now he's talented, right? He's a great distributor. He plays defense. He rebounds. You know, he gets his points, but he gets his points on the drive, right? He doesn't shoot. You know, he will not shoot. And he's capable of it. But he just has this mental block in the games that he won't shoot. With Carson Wentz, it's almost like there's a mental block with him this season, where he can get out of trouble. He can get rid of the football, but he just won't. He holds it too long and gets sacked, and they lose yards. And you know what could have been a good drive gets taken away because of back-to-back sacks. Enter Jalen Hurts. Now, you know, a little young. Carson's not an old guy, but Jalen Hurts a bit younger, a rookie. You know, I wouldn't say he's overly fast. He's, you know, some people are throwing out, you know, names like Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's quick. He's not Lamar quick, and he doesn't have quite the arm. At least to this point that we can see. He really hasn't passed the ball a whole heck of a lot. He's more scrambling around, making plays that way. And yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch, but it's dangerous. You know, a lot of scrambling quarterbacks get hurt. You know, and Carson, over the years, got hurt moving around, right? But the difference, again, with Jalen, even with the offensive line, is when the play's breaking down, Jalen's getting out of there. You know, he's stepping up. He's making plays with his feet. You know, maybe he finds an open receiver. He's just holding on to that ball, and he goes for yards. That's the difference. And maybe that's why this offense looked better last week and in the time when he was in there against the Packers. But again, you know, Carson, like I said, is the biggest question that you're going to have. Because we know what he's capable of doing. But will he do it again? I don't know. Now, there's some school of thought that, well, maybe if whenever the time comes, he goes to another team, maybe reunites with Frank Reich with the Colts and is their quarterback. Are they going to be able to get the most out of him? Maybe. You know, maybe then Carson's looking like the 2017 Carson again. And see, that's the danger. You know, that's the danger with moving a guy like that, because you just never know. We know what he's capable of doing. He just hasn't shown it this season. And for times last season. Now, listen, the 4 games that they won at the end of the season last year, he had 10 touchdowns and 1 interception. He was awesome. He had game-winning drives, game-winning touchdowns in some of those games. He looked great. He looked like the 2017 Carson all over again. And oh, by the way, he was throwing to the practice squad guys. Okay, the practice squad all-stars at the end of the season. But Carson was looking great. Again, that's what he's capable of doing. That's why it's so maddening this season. And I know they've had trouble with the offensive line, and the coach hasn't. I think Doug's had a pretty pathetic year as well, you know, with the play calling. The receivers are really not that good. I mean, to the point where he finally found rapport with a receiver in Travis Fulgham, right? Undrafted player, brought in, right? And what happens? Then they bring Alshon Jeffrey back. and it just all falls apart again. It's like, again, there's so much blame to go around for this season, for Carson, for Doug, for Howie Roseman, right? For the front office, for the other players. There's just way too much blame to go around. And I know most of the blame is going to fall at the feet of Carson Wentz and then Doug Peterson and Howie, and rightfully so. But I think there's enough blame to go around. I really do. With the coaching staff as a whole. I mean, another thing is, listen, and it's a small thing, but Jalen Reagor, one of the reasons he was drafted as high as he was, receiver, you would hope, more so as a receiver than a return man, but he was a great punt returner. He was a great special teams player in college. And he finally has a punt return for a touchdown against the Packers, and then you're putting Ward again back out there for punt returns. It's like, what? I mean, all due respect to the man. Look, he's made a nice little career for himself. Obviously, he was a former, quarterback at the University of Houston, now playing wide receiver, right, in the NFL. But the thing I have a problem with him is he just doesn't seem to read the ball in the air very well. I mean, how many times have we seen him not go back on a ball, like it goes over his head, and the opposing team will down it inside the 10? I don't know. It's like he's not as aggressive back there as a punt returner, where Jalen Reagor has shown the ability not only to return, but to return for a touchdown against the Packers. That's what he's capable of doing, and we're not using him in that role. It's like, you have these pieces in these roles that they should be used in, and you refuse to do it. Again, there's just way too much blame to go around. I think above all else this offseason, even if Doug Peterson's brought back as a head coach, and listen, if they had success with Hurts the rest of the way, Peterson's not going anywhere, right? Because they're going to be joined at the hip. Like it should have been with him and Carson Wentz, and who knows? I mean, are we ever going to see that again? I don't know. We'll see. But the number one that I know without a shadow of a doubt is I don't think there's any way Jim Schwartz is coming back. And I think you got to find a new and better defensive coordinator. I think they got to rebuild this defense. Linebackers have to matter. They matter on all other good defenses in this league. They need to matter here again. They really do. And hopefully whoever they get as a defensive coordinator this offseason is someone that values the linebacker position. Because I sure as hell miss that around here. I'm tired of seeing these guys. They shouldn't even be in the league. Or maybe just on special teams. They're not linebackers. Out there missing tackles, just being in the wrong position. I mean, we've seen it all year. And it even goes back further than this year. And it's just their inability to want to go after. And there were some really good linebackers in the draft they could have drafted over the last few years that they had the ability to do, and they go in other directions, including Jalen Hurts. But it is what it is. Listen, I know I've yapped on here for over 20 minutes about the quarterback situation, about what it is and what it isn't, and who knows what it is, and who knows what it will be going forward. What do I want to see? Look, I always say this, is that whoever the quarterback is as a team, all I want to do is win. That's all I want to see this team do, is compete and win games. Whether it's Carson Wentz behind center, whether it's Nick Foles behind center, whether it's Jalen Hurts behind center, whoever it is, whoever the quarterback is, I want this team to succeed. And if going forward past this season, if it's Jalen Hurts that's succeeding with this team, okay, I'm on board. The bottom line for me as a fan, and as a fan of this team for many years, I just want them to succeed. I want to have winning seasons. These roller coaster rides that we've had the last few years. The end of last season certainly was fun. You had to win the 4 games. They did. They came back from the dead basically to win a division title and make it to the playoffs. This season, It just has looked horrendous at times, borderline unwatchable at times this season. But look, if they can somehow muster a win, and it's a tough game tomorrow against the Cardinals, if they can win a game tomorrow and the Washington football team can find a way to lose a game against Seattle, And I know we need the Giants to still lose at least one more. And, if those things happen and we're back in we're back in the hunt. Oh, boy, But I'd rather that than just sitting through losses every week. So if Hurts is the spark plug that this team needs this season and is out there and balling and making plays and the team finds a way to win tomorrow and then again the next 2 weeks and they have a shot, I'd rather that. And people have talked about the picks, and I know I was one of those that said, yeah, I want the draft picks, and but then again, this team doesn't draft overly well. So I don't know, even if they had a top 5 pick, if it would have worked out this offseason for them. As long as Howie's still in charge of making the picks, I don't know. And apparently he was a little too involved in the picks over the last few years, and that's scary to me. That is a scary thing to me because there were some players that could have been significant upgrades for this team that he passed on to get other guys. Not good. Not good. And listen, again, we hope that it works out with Hurts, or if it is Wentz that comes back, I hope it works out with him too. Like I said before, I don't care. I just want this team to win. Whoever the quarterback is, whoever the coach is, whoever the GM is, whoever the other coaching staff and the players that be, yes, there are players that, you certainly have a fondness for that have helped this team win. Kelsey and Brandon Graham and those guys, certainly, yeah. But I want a team that wins. I want, success. That's what you want to see as a fan. We can get attached to players all we want. We get their jerseys, we root for them, certainly. But the bottom line is, we want the team to win. Players come and go, but coaches come and go. Owners come and go. GMs come and go. We're here. That's the old saying, and it's so true. Fans are always here. We're here with the team who's wearing Kelly green, midnight green, the black jerseys, the alternate jerseys, whatever. The canary yellow and light blue jersey that they wore during their 75th anniversary for the game against Detroit. We're watching them in hot days and cold days and in monsoon-type weather and snowstorms. The bottom line is it's always been about the Eagles. It always will be about the Eagles, and this fan base wants success. Yeah, we tasted it. We know what that feels like now, and thank God they did that when they won Super Bowl 52. I mean, that will never be forgotten, ever. But we want success. And if it's not getting done by a coach or a quarterback or a GM or an owner, I mean, we do want change. Any fan base would. You name me a fan base that doesn't want change when things are going bad. And some fan bases have had to put up with it for a long time, certainly. They want change. Now, sometimes change can be dangerous. But you want it, right? Because you want to succeed. If something isn't working, you got to try something else. Now, I will applaud them that they went to Jalen Hurts and see what he's got. They used a second-round pick to get him on the field and see what happens, other than those stupid plays that never worked. Like the few times he would come out there and Carson Wentz would be out there as a wide receiver. Like, what the hell? And it kept doing it. It didn't fool anybody. The opposing defense, it was like laughable after a while. It's like, well, we know what you're going to do. You're not going to throw the ball. It's just Jalen Hurts for 2 or 3 yards every time. It's like, yeah, okay. That's a waste of a down. But again, listen, as someone who will admit to being the champion of Carson Wentz and feel that he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks this franchise has ever had and could really do a lot. I mean, listen, I still don't know what Carson Wentz is. I'm still a little confused because him coming in, what they said about him, he's a guy who keeps his nose in the playbook. He's like a Peyton Manning in that regard, where he's just super focused on learning all these different plays and doing this and that. And look, there were times that he looked like it. And then there are times, and I know a lot's been thrown at him this season and a lot of different voices in the locker. I get that. In the locker room with the coaches and everything. But, I mean, you talk about a guy who just looks unprepared. It's like he's never played the position before. And it's amazing to me that a guy can go from looking like he did just a couple years ago to regressing to this. Now, again, is it all Carson Wentz? Is it the coaches? I don't know. The The story is not done with Carson Wentz. It still has to be written some more. Whether it's going to be as an Eagle or with some, or some years from now with another team, we're not going to know at this time. The story still has to be finished. I don't think that this is the last we've heard of Carson Wentz. I don't. And again, his contract commands just too much money. They cannot release him. There's been people say, "Oh, just release him." No, you can't. That's way too much money and the cap hit to release him. Because basically you do that, you're not going to be able to have some other players in the positions that they need to have next season. So you can't release him. And trading him, I don't know if that's going to be an option too, because you're still going to take a cap hit on that. It's a big hit. It's a big hit. And they're not, like I said, they're not one of those franchises that can take that hit right now because of the cap situation that they have, which is paper thin. Again, thank you, Howie. Taking care of these older players, man. I know. Listen, I get it. You win a we saw it with the Phillies. You win a championship, and you just become uber loyal to certain guys that after a certain age, maybe you shouldn't. I mean, Peter should have been gone here a long time ago. Alshon Jeffrey, after all the trouble he was causing last season with the snitching and this and that, he should have been gone. But it was too big of a cap hit to just release him. So they couldn't do it. But again, that's Howie giving him that contract. Yeah, maybe should have done that, Howie. But again, you get loyal to a fault to players, right? And some of those players have played well. Look, Brandon Graham's had one of his best years as a pro this season, and he's not young, but he's balled out every game, right? There's been other guys that have played well. I mean, Elliott, yeah, maybe not. Carson, yeah, maybe not. Peters, no. It's been a disaster every time he comes in or he starts a game. And it is a shame because, listen, we will always be forever thankful for some of those players, those mainstays of the team, and we miss some of those guys like Malcolm Jenkins. I mean, they could have used Malcolm Jenkins this season, right? But again, there has to come a time where you have to cut the cord with some of these players. Age is a factor. And I know some players make it look like, age, what's that, right? They play well every year in various sports. But it's not for everybody. Injuries happen. It's just a factor of getting older. It's what happens, and you're playing a rough sport. And again, we will always be, thankful for players, and there's going to be a place at the table for them. And, someday, look, Jason Peters is going to be an Eagles Hall of Famer. He's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer, right? And I know it didn't end well with him, but he gave us some really good, productive years, Pro Bowl seasons, right? Well, years from now, we're going to look back and say, yeah, this guy was one of the best to wear the uniform at his position, to wear the wings on the helmet at his position. And, someday he will be an NFL Hall of Famer. He'll be an Eagles Hall of Famer. He'll be in the Eagles Hall of Fame. Rightfully so. But it had, a couple years ago, they probably should have said, JP, thanks for the great years. You got a ring. We're always grateful for you. We hope you go to another team and succeed, but we just got to let you go at this time, but it's hard to do that after winning, but those teams that continue to win, they find a way to do it. And I hate to keep, throwing that comparison out there, but, the Patriots do it. The Patriots continue to do it. They did the players when they were not older back in those days, but they cut the cord from guys. It was a harsh business. It's a cold thing, but they did it, and because of that, they continued to go on those runs because they replenished. And yeah, a lot of that has to do with their scouting. A lot of that has to do with their coaching, certainly. But they were able to do it, and they, and yeah, they're a once in a lifetime example because it doesn't happen with everyone, right? But they were able to do it, and they knew when to do it. They didn't do it with Brady. Those years when they were winning, so they, until this offseason, because the one constant that they had before this year was Belichick and Brady. But the parts around them continue to move, continue to change, right? They knew when it was time, and they continue to win. Maybe that's the approach the Eagles should have taken, at least with certain players. Jason Peters, I think, was one of those players. Maybe an Alshon Jeffrey, he gets a little mouthy. Maybe it's time to, move on from him and bring in someone else. And not only did they bring in other players, they brought in older players. And I know like teams aren't going to always be willing to get rid of their young players, but that's where the GM has to be smart. That's where you got to make the smart trades, the right moves, right? You got to draft well. Just didn't do enough of it. It's like for every player they hit on in the draft, there was like 8 of them they didn't. You can't succeed that way. And when there were trades that were out there to be made, like a Minkah Fitzpatrick, like a DeAndre Hopkins, who we're going to see tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon rather, when there were players like that out there to trade for that are going to be significant upgrades, and they're still young players, maybe you make those moves. Okay, so you give up a few draft picks. All right. I mean, I know it's scary to say this because you do have to build in the draft, and I've said that, and it's true. But being the fact that this team hasn't overly drafted well, okay, so if you give up a few draft picks to get DeAndre Hopkins, significant upgrade at the wide receiver position for your franchise quarterback, maybe that's a move you make. Minkah Fitzpatrick last season, significant upgrade in your secondary in a position you needed, and he's young. He's still under contract for some years. Maybe that's a move you make and you give up some draft picks for it. I'm not saying you do it every single year. I'm not saying every year, okay, well, there's this guy, okay, just give up 2-3 picks for him, whatever. Because you can't succeed that way. But here and there, for a few players that are in positions of need and they're still young enough that they're going to be in the league for a number of years, playing at a Pro Bowl level for a number of years, yeah, you make that move. You definitely make that move because teams made it. I mean, the Cardinals went out and helped their young franchise quarterback by getting Hopkins. Maybe the Eagles could have done that. I'm just saying. So listen, I know a lot of blame goes on Carson, and rightfully so, but I think a lot of the blame also has to be looked at the front office for not surrounding him with enough weapons. This offensive line has been in shambles, holding on to some players for too long. Age-wise, the coaching staff, I mean, Doug's regressed this season. Now, look, last week looked a little better, right? The offense, and I'll give credit for that. But why are they willing to make those changes with another quarterback? Why can't they adjust when you have your quarterback already out there? But that's a question for another time. Listen, Eagles Nation, I know it's been a very mostly filled with frustration type of season. We're 3 weeks to go. Believe it or not, they still have a chance to make the playoffs. I mean, my goodness. Again, that just shows you this division. And I know the Washington football team has played better in weeks. All right, the Giants regressed last week. I guess Danny Dimes wasn't dropping enough dimes last week, huh? Giant fans. But listen, again, it's a tough game tomorrow. The Cardinals, look, they still have wild card aspirations. And they're playing hard. They're going to play hard tomorrow. Murray's a heck of a quarterback. Going to be tough. It's certainly an upgrade over Taysom Hill last week. Well, he's a hate-to-face guy, Taysom Hill. He's just, for whatever reason, I've never been a big Taysom Hill guy. I don't know. He's a hate-to-face. But anyhow, we beat him last week. But it is an upgrade this week playing an offense that certainly has a lot of weapons. They do have a running back that fumbles a lot though, so that could be something. Maybe there'll be some opportunities at some turnovers there, right? But the bottom line is you do want to see how this team continues. Now there's some tape out there on Jalen Hurts, at least a game and a however much he played against the Packers worth of tape. Teams are going to game plan for him now. And listen, the Cardinals have a quarterback that scrambles around too. So, they're going to be able to game plan for Jalen Hurts because they have a smaller scrambling quarterback of their own who's having a hell of a season. And it's going to be tough. I mean, listen, stop me if you heard this before. There's some injuries. The Eagles on defense, and we'll see. It's going to be a tough game, and it's always been tough, even back when the Cardinals were playing in in the Sun Devil Stadium way back when. It's always been tough for the Eagles to win in Arizona, always. So, do I see this game as going to be any different? No, it's going to be a tough game. Both teams, have a lot on the line in this game, and I think you're going to get, a pretty good game because of it. Jalen Hurts out there making plays, I think. You give a chance to the Eagles to get the W, but obviously the Cardinals are a good team, and they're playing good right now. They're coming off a good game. Temple Tough, Hassan Reddick out there making plays last week against the Giants, and again, you have a good quarterback on that side on that side of the ball, and Murray, Hopkins as well. I mean, look, a big time receiver, probably going to make plays against this secondary. But they do have a running back that has fumbleitis, so I mean, you never know. A couple turnovers here and there can make all the difference in the world in the game. So listen, I'm not going to give a score prediction or anything. I'm going to hope for a win. I'm also going to hope for a loss for the Washington football team. Come on, Seattle. Help us out a little bit. You know how to beat us all the time, but so now you got to help us and beat another team in our division, okay? And the Giants losing again too would be nice too, but you just got to hope for it. I think it brought a little more life into the season with Hurts out there. And as a fan, again, like I said, man, I just want to win. I just want wins. I want this team to succeed. Whoever's the quarterback's the quarterback. It's not my call. That's up to the coaching staff and the powers that be. I just hope for the best. I hope for the best week to week, season to season. We'll ride with whoever's out there. And because the fandom is always there. This doesn't go away. Quarterbacks come and go. Players come and go. Coaches come and go. Like I said before, owners and GMs and front offices. Team colors come and go. But the fandom's always there. We're always here, and we're always going to be here with the Eagles and with all of our teams. You see Festive wearing the Flyers Santa hat because Festive's ready for hockey season. So, Festive, I mean, that's the team in Philly that Festive cares the most about, the orange and black, right? So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the basketball season. The Sixers, hey, new coach, new system. We'll see, all right? Some new players on the team. Will they trade for James Harden? We'll see. We'll see. It's exciting times. It's exciting. It is. It's exciting times in the city. The Sixers are certainly, on the rise. The Flyers, the Eagles need to get it right. The Phillies need to get it right. But I think more so than anything, I think there's a lot of things to be excited for being a Philadelphia sports fan. And, but this series, of course, is mainly for the Eagles. But, I love all four teams and the Union, too, doing some good things there, too, in soccer. So, give respect to them as well. They had a good season this past season. But anyhow, for the Eagles, we're hoping for a victory tomorrow. We're hoping for a little help. Yes, even at 5-8-1. If playoffs are still on the horizon, hey, I still would rather, right, be a playoff team than not. But we'll see. Obviously, a lot has to happen for that, and they dug themselves a hole that they're trying to climb out of, but we'll see. They've done it before. But we'll see. It's a different kind of year. But anyhow, as always, go Birds! And we will see what we will see tomorrow at Arizona. Phillies, yes. The Phillies the Phillies are not playing right now. The Eagles... And see, once I mention another team, then it gets in the head, right? The Eagles and the Cardinals, of course, the battle of the birds in the desert, and we'll see what happens there. And before I forget, obviously, the weekly fall. Okay, so the Festive Four. I can't call it the weekly because we missed some weeks. But this week's Festive Four, last time, the last Festive Four record for that week was 2-2. Festive went 500 the last time. We did a Season of the Fan video for the week. And the overall record for Festive, make sure I get the right thing up here. I think I had the wrong. Yes, I did. Okay, so I had the last sheet up. The last the Festive's record now going into this week is with that 2-2 week before 25-11 overall going into this week's 4. So let's get into it, right? We have some Saturday games today, right? My goodness, it's football every day. We got Saturday games, and Festive likes one of those games. Festive likes Buffalo to beat the Denver Broncos later today in the Saturday game. And then the regular games, Sunday, Festive likes Tampa Bay over Atlanta, Indianapolis over Houston, and Minnesota over Chicago. So in review, I should say, Festive likes in this week's Festive 4, Buffalo over Denver tonight. Festive likes Tampa Bay over Atlanta, Indianapolis over Houston, and Minnesota over the Chicago Bears. That's it. That's all for the Festive 4. We'll see, right? Hey, like I said, many a time, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully it's another victory. Hopefully you get a little help, and we'll see what happens. And you got 2 games to go, and anything can happen, right? So let's hope for the best. Lots to talk about, though, after this season. Boy, my goodness. This is certainly going to be an off-season, like many others, because there's always storylines in an off-season for the Eagles, but there's going to be a lot to chew on, a lot to digest, regardless of how the season ends, playoffs or not. It's still going to be a very interesting off-season for the Eagles. And we're going to see we're going to see tomorrow a little more of what Jalen Hurts brings to the table, and hopefully it will be good things, and hopefully it will be another victory. But we'll have to wait and see, right? All right, everyone. As I said before, let's go Birds! Our Birds, the Birds wearing the midnight green and battling those Red Birds in Arizona. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching, and as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you already haven't done that. We're on the road to 1K. All right, we're on the road to 1K, so let's hit that subscribe button if you already haven't done so. And to all you over 800 subscribers, thank you all so much. And also, make sure after you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified to future vids by yours truly. And also make sure to leave that like. Hey, look, this season we need as many likes as we can get, right? So leave that like, and feel free to comment below. What are your thoughts? Right? What are your thoughts on the upcoming game and the rest of the season? Do you think it should be Jalen Hurts going forward? What do you think about Carson Wentz? Is this the last we've seen of him? Will we see him again? Do you think he still has a chance to succeed as a quarterback in the NFL? And be honest about it, yay or nay, right? And also, what are your thoughts? Like I said, what are your thoughts for this game tomorrow? And do you think the Eagles still have a shot to do something this season? We'll see. All right, everyone. As I said before, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right.